The idea that water isn't wet is based on the definition of wet and how we perceive it. Understanding wetness. If the description of a condition in which a liquid adhereth to the surface of a solid. For an object to be considered wet, it must have a liquid covering or clinging to it surface.
Why water itself is not wet? Water is a liquid, and wetness is a property that describes how liquids interact with solids. Water cannot be wet in the way we describe a solid being wet, because it is not a solid itself. It is the liquid that causes wetness. How water makes objects wet. When water comes into contact with a solid, like your hand or a piece of fabric, it adheres to the surface, creating a layer of liquid. This interaction depends on surface tension and adhesion, the forces that make water molecules stick to other materials. If the material repels water, like waterproof fabrics or waxed surfaces, it will not become wet. Can water be wet? While individual molecules of water are not wet themselves, when multiple water molecules are together, they can adhere to each other due to cohesion, the attraction between water molecules. However, since wetness describes how a liquid interacts with a solid and not itself, a body of water is not wet, it is just liquid. Conclusion: water is not wet, because wetness is a term used to describe how liquids interact with solids. Water can make things wet, but since it does not have a solid surface to adhere to, it does not meet the criteria for being wet itself.